Now the biggest question is sometimes these rocks are not always below the surface. They come above the surface. So how would I paint something like that? Well, that's an excellent question. So let me answer it for you the same way. I'm going to take one of these number 4 brushes that we were using. This is the number 6, that works. And I'm going to go ahead and just clean it, and then I'm going to load it with some Van Dyke brown and some light color, and we'll put it right on top of the water so you can see just exactly how you could do that as well. So I'll just go ahead, take some of this Van Dyke brown color that we have just sitting right here on the palette. Now I want to load up one side of that very thoroughly. So let me show you how I've done that. I've loaded up one side. There's no paint on the other side. Well, on the other side I'm going to put a little bit of the lighter color. So this paintbrush is now loaded with dark and a mixture. So if I want this rock sitting on top, I'll just go ahead, right side up. It's sitting right there, right on top. It looks lonely. Let's give it a friend. So now it's got a friend. It's got a couple of little rocks up there. So I'll go ahead and take just the least little amount of the watercolor that we're using for highlighting on the small edge of the brush, and I'll come right in here. That's one of the rocks. Come back here. And our water is just going right around it. And that's as simple. So if you've got a rock on top, and that also shows a lot of depth. And again, you can put as many as you want. A lot of times what I like to do is just go ahead and put a few on the sides of the mountain or the hills right there. They're just tucked right there in the grass, and it makes it look real when you consider you have some here and you have some there. So again, you just take dark Van Dyke brown on one side and a dark color on the other side. I'm using these colors. You can use any color in the world you want. Work the same. So now we've got a couple of more rocks sitting right there at the rock's edge. If you want one of them to sit right in the water, just go ahead and do that. Take your knife, add a little more color to it. That's that watercolor. There you go, and that sits it in quite nicely. So now you learn how to do it right around the edge of the water, part of the way into the water, all the way in the water, and under the water. But what if that water is breaking around the rocks and you have kind of like a little drop? Let me show you what I mean. Let's take some of that watercolor we're using. Now again, remember, that watercolor is a mixture of paint. It's a mixture of liquid white, titanium white, and Prussian blue. But it's still very, very soft. We don't want pure liquid white. That's why we add some of the titanium white. And we add the Prussian blue because we don't want pure white. You'll develop a taste for what you like and don't like in terms of color. Now let's come back over here. Here's our water. See, there it is. It's got a little bit of a cascade just falling over it. See how I'm doing that? Just very lightly. Very, very lightly. Very shallow. And then I can bring it out if I want to show some depth. I know we've shown you this before, but it's always good to repeat what you've seen. Now, there'll be a little splash, of course. So we'll just go ahead and lift it up a little bit at a time. And then come back here. And there it is. This is still a smooth, slow, wandering creek. And it just had a little bit of a rock. Now the water's down. But what if the rock is coming up out of the water? and the water is going to have to go around it. So one of the things I like to do is say, let's put part of it in. So let me come over here. There it is. There's part of it. All right. Then I'll go ahead and grab my knife. And let's put a little rock right in here. The water's going right around it. So there's that part, the inside part. See, the rock will cascade to the right and the left of this rock. And so we just covered the right. The reason I covered the right is very simple. My field of sight shows this behind the rock. If I was standing on the other side of the bank, I would probably paint this because the perspective would be all changed around. Now let me just take a little bit of a lighter color, and I'm just going to go ahead and highlight that rock, because you need to highlight it before you go ahead and put in the rest of the stream. Isn't that wonderful, the way that rock is just shaping right in there? Now, go ahead and finish the highlight. Sometimes I like to use a little bit of a darker color or a bluer color, just to, when you add blue to this lighter brown, it'll give you a gray, and that will show a cooler side of the rock. It's in the shadow, if you will. Have you seen my baby? I should not sing on air. I was told this frequently by my producer. Now I'm going to continue that cascade right over here in front of it. Now that water looks like it's naturally going right around that rock. Isn't that wonderful? Here we go again. It's coming around. There it is. And there it is. So let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a splash. And it looks like that rock is, you can see part of it underneath. And boom, it's just being covered with water as it comes forward. So I'm taking and blending out the bottom. These splashes are very shallow, very small, because that water is just like trickling a little bit. You probably have to just hear a little bit of a gurgle. So what have we learned within this session? We've learned how to put rocks underneath, to the side, off of the riverbank, on top, and inside of a cascade. We've learned how to make our water lines all along here, and the water lines around the rock like this, and to have water going over a rock. So why don't you go ahead and practice this little step and let me know how you're doing.